I've never shared this story online before, not in detail anyway, and to be honest, part of me hopes no one believes it, because if this is real, if what happened to us really happened, then there's something out there in those woods that no one should ever find. This all took place in July of 2022. It was supposed to be a peaceful hiking trip with 3 of my closest friends, Max, Amber, and Julie. We had just wrapped up our first year of college and wanted to unplug. No phones, no internet, just the 4 of us, the mountains, and 2 nights under the stars. We picked the Hollow Ridge Trail, deep in the North Cascades. It was remote, rarely trafficked, and apparently led to a hidden glacial lake that wasn't marked on most maps. Max found it on an old hiking forum post. It promised isolation and a view like something out of a dream, but it also mentioned a weird note about a side path at mile 11, something only experienced hikers were supposed to explore. That should have been our first red flag. The morning we started was beautiful. Birds chirping, a breeze cutting through the heat, backpacks loaded. We hiked for hours, passed the 5-mile mark by noon, had lunch on a rock ledge with a panoramic view, and kept going. Everyone was in a good mood. But around mile 10, the woods started to change. The trees got denser, the air heavier, shadows stayed longer. It felt like we were walking into a place the sun hadn't touched in years, and at mile 11, like clockwork, we saw it. It was a narrow trail, half swallowed by ferns and brush, barely visible, but it was there. Max lit up like a kid who'd found treasure. He said, "This is it. This is the hidden trail the forum talked about." Julie hesitated. She was always the one who sensed things the rest of us didn't. She said the path felt wrong, that it looked like a game trail not meant for people. But Amber and I were curious. We'd come all this way. What were we going to do? Turn around now? We followed it. The trail twisted strangely, like it wasn't built so much as grown, and after maybe 20 minutes of silence and rising fog, we saw it. A cabin, an actual wooden cabin, nestled in the trees like it had always been there. It didn't make sense. We were miles from any road and the area wasn't supposed to have any kind of structure. But there it was, slanted slightly to the right, its porch half collapsed, windows dusty but intact, and the door open just a crack. It looked abandoned, yet not empty. We stood there for a moment, just staring. There were no signs of recent life, no smoke, no sound, but somehow we could feel something inside, something watching. Max, of course, wanted to go in. Julie begged us not to. She said something was off, that we needed to go back now. But Max brushed her off and pushed the door open. Amber followed, and after a second, I did too. The smell hit first, mildew, rot, and something metallic, like old blood. The inside was dim. Just enough light came through the windows to see a fireplace, a small table, and 2 chairs. A layer of dust covered everything, except the fireplace. It had ashes in it, fresh ashes. That was the first real sign that someone had been there, recently. There were strange details too. On the wall hung a cracked mirror with something smeared across it, mud or maybe something else. And on the table, 3 things sat untouched. A rusty pocket knife, a reel-to-reel tape recorder plugged into a wall socket that somehow still had power, and a faded newspaper from 1976 with a headline that read, "Family disappears near Hollow Ridge Lake. No clues found." We didn't know what to make of it. Max was laughing, saying it was some kind of survivalist hideout. He was already poking around when he pulled up a dirty rug in the corner of the cabin and found a hatch, a wooden trap door with a rusted iron ring. He grinned and said, "You guys want to see something wild?" Before lifting it, a wooden ladder led down into complete darkness. A chill drifted up from the opening. It was like the earth itself was exhaling. Max grabbed his flashlight and climbed down, promising he'd be back in 5 minutes. He joked it was probably just an old storm shelter or wine cellar. Then he disappeared into the dark. A minute passed, then another. We called his name. No answer. Then we heard it, screaming, his voice echoing from the black. It didn't sound like he'd fallen. It sounded like he was terrified, like he was being chased or torn apart. We ran to the hatch. Amber screamed his name. Julie cried. And then, from below, laughter. Not Max's laugh. It sounded like someone trying to imitate him. Too high-pitched, distorted, mocking. Then silence. The cellar swallowed the sound, and we couldn't bring ourselves to go down. So we ran. We made it half a mile away before nightfall and set up camp, hoping maybe Max would find us in the morning. We didn't sleep. The forest around us didn't feel right. We heard branches snapping in the dark. We heard faint whistling, just one long flat note that moved from tree to tree. And once, Amber swore she saw someone standing just beyond the firelight, but no one was there when we checked. By morning, we decided we had to go back and look for Max again. But when we retraced our steps, the path had changed completely. It looked different. Trees were where they hadn't been before. The trail twisted differently. Even the sunlight felt wrong. Too dim, too golden. We finally found the cabin again, but it looked newer now, cleaner, like someone had restored it overnight. The hatch was gone. The trapdoor sealed shut with wooden boards, and on the cabin's front door was something that made all of us freeze. A photo of us, one we hadn't taken. All four of us were standing near the trailhead from 2 days ago. Only Max's face had been scratched out with something sharp. Inside the cabin, we found another change. Names carved into the wall next to the fireplace. Liam, Julie, Amber. Max's name was there too, but someone had violently scratched it out, gouged it deep, and under our names, a new one had appeared. Your name. We didn't write that. None of us did. We barely had time to react before the door slammed shut behind us, like it had been pulled by a storm. We ran. Through the door. Through the woods. We ran until we didn't know where we were. And at some point, we found the trail again. The real trail, and followed it to our car. It took us hours longer than it should have, but we made it out. Max never came back. We reported him missing. Search and rescue combed the area for days. They found no trace of him, no cabin, no side trail. When we went back to that forum post Max had found, deleted. No archived version, no record of the user, nothing. Julie doesn't talk about it anymore. Amber moved away and blocks every conversation about it. Me, I still check the forums sometimes. Every once in a while, someone posts about a secret glacial lake near Hollow Ridge, about a hidden cabin that isn't on any maps, and I send them one message every time. Don't go. Please, don't go, because whatever we found that summer, it's still waiting down there and it remembers our names.